business owners speak today. I'm thrilled to have with us Justin Mosley with Leicestermore Capital. Justin, how are you today?
I'm awesome, and you nailed the name. So kudos to you, my friend.
Well, took some practice. Thank you. I had a good teacher. Appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. I'm anxious to hear about your story. So if you could start by telling us a little bit about you and about the business.
All right, so let's go all the way back. So grew up in Baltimore, was a Navy guy, so spent a lot of time traveling overseas. Really had a great opportunity to, spend time in Japan, forward deployed, seeing Asia, South America, the whole nine, right? So that really kind of shaped my perspective on, not only business, but also life in general. So made my way down to Florida, the college, and then I was working in corporate. And I always like to tell the story because I think it's funny. So I met my now wife when I was working in corporate retail, and it was one of those kind of movie type deals. Fell in love immediately when I saw her, and she was like, "Yeah, hold on, don't get too attached because I'm from England. I'm over here helping expand the business, and I have to go back." So long story short, I got attached. So when it was time for her to leave, to go back to England, I quit my job, found a way into England, which was through grad school. And from there, we got married, the whole nine. And, I really started to put the pieces together in building my business there. And then when I came back, we settled down in Florida. And that's kind of where my real estate journey and my business began.
Oh, so followed her all the way to England. Was she like, yes, come with me? Or was she like, why is this guy following me?
Yeah, you'll have to ask her yourself, but I
Fair.
will say that she did not believe that I was going to come. I applied to grad school. I actually got into a couple different schools because she didn't know where she was going to go. But this is probably why I love real estate because it's about solving problems, and that is definitely, if I have a superpower, it's that. So yeah, it wasn't until I actually stepped off the plane and hopped on the bus to go meet her that she found like, oh yeah, this guy's for real. So, and we're still married now, so it's
Oh, that's great.
worked out.
Great story. Well, take us back a little bit to when you were doing the corporate retail. Did you have entrepreneurship on your mind, or was that always something you thought you'd want to do, or just kind of life took you that direction?
Yeah, absolutely not. So I never really thought about it, to be honest with you. I didn't really know very many entrepreneurs. Like I think most people, financial literacy, buying assets and all that wasn't discussed in my household, nor school or anything like that. I just got to a point where I thought, looking at my trajectory in that business, I just kind of realized that the life I wanted to live in terms of, freedom and, income and all these things, I just realized like I wasn't going to get it from that, right? Like I didn't want to be the CEO of that company. I didn't really want to even climb further up the ladder. And I always say, because I'm a big guy on like mindset and working out, and it's like I never was lazy, but I did find it really, really hard to like go the extra mile working for someone else when I knew I did not get any of those benefits. So, kind of think about all those things. It just made sense to, go my own path and make it that way.
That's great. It's certainly a guy that knows what he wants. You've already demonstrated it twice just in this call already.
Sure.
Um, so you go to England, you go to grad school, and you mentioned that's kind of where this potential business started kind of forming. Like, talk us through that process. How'd that happen?
Yeah. So I'm an economics guy. And it's funny, people always think that I'm smart because of that, but I'm not at all. But what I do love is the behavior side of economics, right? And when I was kind of thinking about, all right, going down the rabbit hole of kind of investing and all these kind of things, I was exposed to, real estate and, the value of, tangible assets and even like derivative markets and all that. But the reality is that as much as I love learning about it, it's really hard to understand what the market's going to do, right? Because it's based off of human beings, right? Like there's a great book like Irrational Exuberance I read, and it's just about it doesn't even matter how well a company is performing, that could be sucked into what's going on in the wider economy, right? So going down to the lowest common denominator, real estate just made the most sense, right? Like one, it's just cool to own real estate. Like
Yeah.
I've never met anyone that's like ashamed of being in this
Right.
space, right, as an owner. I always just felt like it has intrinsic value. No matter what's going on in the market, people always need a place to stay. People always want a vacation. So that's kind of where I just was like, okay. And like the other stuff, I'm really big on intuition and trusting my gut, and it made sense. So, and when I go in, I go all in.
So you made your way back over here, and
Yeah.
you're in South Florida, correct?
I am in Jupiter. Love it
Yeah,
here.
me too. I'm in Jupiter as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice. Didn't
yeah,
realize that. That's awesome.
yeah. So tell us about the business itself and kind of the services you offer and what differentiates you from a typical real estate agent.
So yeah, well, so I'm definitely not an agent, right? So I have
Right.
an investment firm, but I mean, understood. So my business is unique, and I think, and we'll get into the challenges, but I'll give you a little bit more context. So when I jumped into real estate, um, yeah, I was kind of told, go big, and that's how you get there faster. So, I listen, right? YouTube education. So jumped in
Oh,
to like multifamily syndication. So partnering with guys to buy, apartment buildings. So most people don't realize, there are a lot of institutions that owns these things, but there are guys that in groups that will come together, operate, raise the capital, whole nine. So I was doing that for a bit. And when I was kind of looking around, I realized like, man, there's some opportunities in some other spaces in real estate. And when I dug in, short-term rentals where, some people think of, Airbnb or vacation rentals, but the reality is it's so much more than that. And what I found was that it wasn't a terribly like mature space, nor was it terribly sophisticated. I think the stat is still to this day, like, 85% of people even own like, Airbnb properties, are mom and pop, like they own less than three, a lot of times by happenstance. And I really saw an opportunity in that space and to really grow and treat it as a business. And that's how I jumped in and really kind of took a lot of, I mean, I guess my military processes and really trying to dig in. And so now what I do is I go out and I buy these properties and I package them together similar to what I did as on a commercial guy. And then I'll operate them well and I raise capital for it. And this is a way that people that maybe want to diversify into real estate, but don't necessarily want to do it themselves, or people that actually want to learn, but would rather see someone that actually has processes and systems in place operate and then get a great return and then go do it off themselves, right? So it's kind of a mixed bag of people that generally, partner with me on these deals. But so my whole company is built on the idea of like, look, we're going to go out and buy amazing properties. We're going to renovate them. We're going to add value to them. And our LP investors will get a great return because of those operations.
okay. So if I come to you with some capital and say, Justin, it's burned a hole in my pocket. Um, how does that process work? Where do we start?
Yes, for first starts with a relationship, right? And really kind of understand, what is it that I can provide from a value standpoint, right? And also too from a timeline, right? Like, you may have, a couple $100,000, but if you're looking to buy your dream home and you're gonna just completely rinse your bank account, I would recommend just keeping it. Well, I would say maybe you need to do some other stuff to build that up some more, right? But
Right.
your choice, right? But I would say, hey, look, like, we have amazing group of properties, right? And I'm always doing deals. It's a 3 to 5 year timeline. You invest, you see all the operations, you see kind of behind the curtain of what we do as operators and investors. And then what happens is on a quarterly basis, you get your distribution for the returns, right? The profits of the properties. And then at the end, when we go to sell the property or refinance, you also participate in that upside. And one of the cool things about what we do is we do very much a value add strategy to where we'll go and take a large property, maybe like 5, 6 bedrooms, turn it into 8, 9 bedrooms, deck out the garage, the backyard, the pools, all that. And it's just a really cool, fun, exciting space that, if you're looking to diversify outside of the stock market or maybe just really love real estate, it's a really cool way to get in. And it's not your traditional invest in a multifamily deal. And, it's just kind of just spreadsheets, right? Like this
Right.
is a much more
Right.
creative and unique space for sure. But there's lots of opportunity for sure.
So how do you choose your properties?
We try to be very strategic. So I have a team where we kind of look and underwrite areas of opportunity where we believe. So, I deeply believe in the South, like Florida. And there's some other markets that we love, like coastal Mississippi, coastal Alabama, places that are a little bit off the beaten path that have like massive potential, right? So when most people think of a vacation place, right? Like you and I, right? If we go on vacation, we're probably not traveling to Gulf Shores, Alabama, right? But if you live in rural Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, like these are phenomenal places that people go to, go out in the water. If it's like in Mississippi, like Biloxi to gamble, go to casinos, things like that. So I really look for places where are really developing now, hasn't seen that massive appreciation, definitely during COVID, and we find those opportunities there. And that's how we kind of pick the markets, and then we just kind of drill down, right? Starts with the market, then okay, what's the best kind of property that performs there? Okay, we understand the properties. How can we add value to these properties? So from day one, not only are we cash flowing once we're up and running, but also we're creating, massive equity in the deal so that when we do go to sell, that you're also a great upside as well.
Sure. So your business must rely on a lot of kind of strategic partners, right? Because whether it's renovation, whether it's closing, title companies, lending, all of those areas, how do you build up those relationships and find people you can trust?
Yeah, talking to guys like you, right? Coming on here, going out there. Like I'm definitely a man that likes to network and talk to folks. I always pride myself on shaking hands and kissing babies. But in 2024, I've really revved up kind of my online presence in order to one, just get the word out on just the massive opportunity in the space, but also to meet great people. And the cool thing about real estate, one, you don't have to build like a Fortune 100 type business, right? You can have a very successful business like partnering with a few good folks and then really having a lot of strategic partners, but it just comes with relationships and building those over time. And you get to choose who you want to work with, right? So I'm not in a business where I have to work with anyone. So I can choose the type of people that I can rely on, that are trustworthy, that I know is going to do a great job. And that gives me a lot of flexibility in order to kind of build a business that's really strong foundationally, but also be around good folks all day.
Sure. So I'm curious about the renovation portion. Do you, not that you're swinging the hammer, but do you have that visual side and that ability to kind of see what something can be?
Yes and no, right? I'm very much a big picture guy. But I very much believe in, partnering with folks that really like get it and have the execution. So I can see what the potential is, but I actually brought on my COO, who is, his background is in high-end home building. His name's Caleb Bustle, great guy, family guy, just like me. I didn't get into it, but my wife now, I have a wife, I have 4 kids, he has 4 kids, and my wife, yeah. And it's like, really solid values. And he comes in and he's my kind of person that he manages contractors and execution. And I kind of just look at the vision and try, and he can make it come to life.
Sure. Interesting. And yeah, great to find um, the people that can help you drive the business forward that you trust and, have similar values and whatnot means a
Yeah,
lot.
for sure.
So moving forward, obviously coming out of COVID and what COVID did to real estate down here in South Florida, are you looking at kind of maintaining the same area of focus and expertise for the business? Are you looking at potentially branching out into different areas? What's kind of the future hold?
Yeah, we have some really grand plans in the future. So one of the really cool things that we're doing is we're getting into kind of the boutique hotel space. So we actually have a property on Miami Beach now. It's like a small boutique hotel and really leveraging a lot of the same principles that we do with our homes, using that model. And what's cool is that when it works, because we're not done yet, it's something that we can replicate and just kind of continue on, right? My business is really based on experience, like providing a great experience. And one of the cool things is it's kind of a hybrid between hotels and kind of residential, right? Like you have the underlying asset, but I can eliminate a lot of the operating expenses what a traditional hotel does, leveraging like technology, processes, and stuff. So, with that's something that we're definitely stepping into, and that's already starting. And then also getting into development because right now it's a really great time to build. If you can find great land you can kind of build these properties, ready from day one, and then have multiple different exits coming out. And one of the things I'm passionate about being a veteran is going into some of these places near military bases. And, our exit will be, getting great properties to guys that, have GI bills and VA loans and stuff like that. And they can come in and occupy those properties. They know they were like maintained really well. So
Oh, that's a great idea. Great idea. And thank you for your service, of course.
really.
Um, you know, for the boutique hotel arm, would that be something where you would bring in an outside team to manage, or are you going to hold it and operate it yourself?
Yeah, so we have our own management company that we
Okay.
operate ourselves, but this is for right now something that we're partnering with other kind of operators from other
Yeah.
real estate spaces. So my partner Paul, who's partnering on this deal, is big into hotels, multifamily background. That's kind of how we met, and we're kind of merging the two. He really understands the hotel space. I really understand the STR space, and this is kind of a hybrid model, and kind of have the best of both worlds, but also guys that own these properties and really know how to operate them.
Sure. All right, Justin. So, if you could, can you lend some words of wisdom to potentially other small? I always like to say someone that's sitting in an office job but has a great idea, has passion for something else, but is afraid to take the leap, or someone that's just kind of starting and maybe they've hit a ceiling and haven't been able to push through. What's some advice you'd give that you've learned through your journey?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, so number one is take action. I think I talk to people all day long and I meet people with phenomenal ideas constantly, right? But for whatever reason, there's something inside them that says, don't do it or it's too risky. And the reality is, like, everything worth having has a level of risk that you almost have to just be, accept, right? And be comfortable with. And you kind of talked about that earlier, and I'm sure in your previous interviews that, the mindset piece is so incredibly strong that you have to just get comfortable being uncomfortable, but that's the only way you'll be able, one, to grow, but also to, do the things that you enjoy doing. One of the biggest reasons I got into this space is that, I work more than I ever did, but I enjoy it more than I ever did as well, right? And I get the fruits of labor.
Right.
It's pretty incredible, and that's why I love this space and I love talking about it and encouraging anyone that wants to get into real estate, whatever that may be, to go out and do it. Because from a kid coming from Baltimore, not under the best circumstances, like to be able to buy 2 acres of land in Jupiter and build like a $4 million house. And I don't say that to brag. I say it because I never would have thought that would have been me, right? And the idea of the military first was the kind of the first leap, but then after that, cultivating that mindset and then actually going after what I wanted in life put me in the position I am today. And I'm not special. And I tell people all the time, like, it's just about going after what you want and just being consistent, because it's going to suck and it's going to be hard. But where most people stop, that's where, if you would have kept pushing through, you probably would have got there at the end. So, um,
Really great advice. Take action, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and just move forward. It's all you can really do.
that's it.
Well, Justin, really appreciate you taking the time today. The business is Leicestermore Capital. Really excited to see what you're going to do in the future because I'm sure the sky's the limit. So thank you so much for taking the time today.
Awesome. Appreciate the time.